So this is a video I wasn't actually going to make. To be honest, I wasn't going to talk about Charlie Kirk again, but the reaction to his assassination has just truly amazed me. I mean, these people are absolutely shocking, and I've got to be honest, in my opinion, these people are absolutely disgusting. And these people claim to be anti-fascists and anti-fascism, and yet they'll celebrate violence towards somebody all just because it didn't line up with their stupid, far-fetched and totally unbelievable and ridiculous political ideologies. Now, to me, that is the very definition of fascism: using violence to enforce your own political ideologies onto people is fascism. So these people that are celebrating this are the fascists, they're the true fascists. It's ridiculous to call people like Charlie Kirk fascists. These are the fascists, the people that are celebrating the death of a young man in front of his young family. I mean, absolutely disgusting. They obviously are the most selfish and disgusting people out there, some of these people are, I mean, and absolutely deluded as well, because for some reason these people think that they're the good guys. Do you know what I mean? These people think that they're good, and they think that anybody that opposes them is bad, and it's like, it's blatantly the opposite way round, to be honest. I mean, and these actions have exposed what these people actually really are. These people ain't anti-fascists. These people are pro-fascists. They're not anti-murder or anything. These people are pro-murder. These people are pro-dictatorship. That's what these people are. They're too weak to fight back themselves against the real enemy. So what they do is they attack the people that are not too weak to fight back. That's what they've always done. I've argued against these people on Reddit, and I've been kicked off Reddit for upsetting them, because these people get upset by facts, literally offended by everything and ashamed of absolutely nothing. That is what these people are. And to be honest, I really do believe that it's time that we stop tolerating this bullshit from these people, because these people claim to be tolerant, but they're not. They're intolerant. The very opposite to tolerance. They are as intolerant as you get. Them racist. Everything is about race. Everything is about sex. Them just a bunch of perverted lunatics that for some reason either genuinely believe that they're on the right side of history, or just don't give a fuck about being on the right side of history. I mean, I've heard people say such ridiculous things after this assassination, the reactions to this assassination, and I'm absolutely shocked by it, to be honest. I mean, I've heard people say things like, Charlie Kirk supported guns, so he deserves to be shot. You know what I mean? He built, I think that Montana DA, I can't remember her name there, but that DA from Montana, she said that he died on the hill that he built. It's like, how did Charlie Kirk build that hill? I mean, because he supported the Second Amendment. So anybody who supports the Second Amendment deserves to be shot, according to these people. Well, surely by that logic, anybody that supports abortion deserves to be aborted. Do you know what I mean? So these people are pathetic and then weak-minded, and the men are like women, and the women are something else. And all that Charlie Kirk did was exercise his freedom of speech, his right to freedom of speech, and that upset these people. That bothered them that much, that this man was brave enough to exercise his right to freedom of speech. These people could have counter-argued on YouTube whenever they wanted. They could have responded to anything that he ever said on YouTube and broke down his argument with facts and logic and common sense, but they can't do that. So instead, they'll celebrate his death, because now they feel like they don't have to answer these questions that they can't answer, but they still have to answer it, because, like I say, we should not tolerate this bullshit anymore. I've come against these kind of people before, and these kind of people are absolutely everywhere, and these people are protected by the internet. Reddit kicks people off for offending them. You know, Facebook and Twitter and all this. They're calling everything hate speech because you're speaking facts. It's not hate speech, it's hated speech. You hate the speech. That's all it is. It's not spreading hate against anybody. It's facts. So Charlie Kirk spoke facts sometimes, and that's what riled people, and that's what upset people, and that is eventually what got him killed. You know, I think it was Dave Chappelle that says, when a brave hero falls, the cowards rejoice. And that's what these people are, essentially. The cowards. Them too weak to fight the real enemies. So instead, they celebrate when these people are silenced. You know what I mean? These people are too weak-minded to come up with their own arguments or their own logical defences of their stupid ideologies, because you can't defend their ideologies, because their ideologies make absolutely no sense whatsoever. So you can't defend it. But at the end of the day, I just can't believe how these people have reacted to a murder, you know, basically a full-blown murder in front of his family. I mean, this man was killed in front of his 1-year-old and 3-year-old children. That's how selfish these people are. You know, they're not even bothered, or not even probably give a thought to the fact that this man was killed in front of his children. I mean, I've heard that his 3-year-old child actually ran towards him after hearing the bang because it scared him, because, you know, it scared the child. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard. And if that is true, then that's one of the saddest things that you could ever hear, especially for the child. You know, so to celebrate that is mentally ill, to be honest. I honestly believe that anybody that's been caught celebrating this death like this should be investigated immediately, because in my opinion these people are dangerous, and these people obviously want people to die, and the only reason these people want people to die is because these people do not like people having political views that are not the same as theirs, because these people are actually fascists. So they're not anti-fascists at all, they are full-blown fascists. And like I say, anybody that says he supported guns and he was against gun control, so he deserves it, then like I say, if you support abortions and you know, if you support the right to an abortion, then obviously you deserve to be aborted then, based on that logic. So these people are just absolutely unbelievable. Now, Proverbs chapter 24 verse 17 says, do not gloat when an enemy falls, and do not let your heart rejoice when he stumbles. So these people are just absolutely sick, like I say. This is just absolutely sick. And I could actually understand it a little bit more if this man was really fundamentally evil. You know, if it was somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy, or even an evil politician that's caused nothing but problems for people. Because obviously then they might have had a negative impact on people's lives. So obviously if you're having a negative impact on people's lives, then you can't really argue when people turn on you. But Charlie Kirk wasn't having an impact on anybody's lives, a negative impact on anybody's lives. If you didn't want to listen to what Charlie Kirk said, all you had to do was not turn up at his events and not go onto his YouTube channel and watch him on YouTube. It was as simple as that. But I watched the full footage of the shooting. I think it was probably about an hour after it happened. I watched it on YouTube, uncensored, and I was amazed it was uncensored. And to be honest, anybody that finds that funny, to me, is absolutely sick. And like I say, they should be investigated, and, you know, it's borderline terrorism, and they're encouraging terrorism and violence. You know, inciting violence is supposed to be a crime. If we was to incite violence, and when I say we, I mean people that don't believe their bullshit. If we was to incite violence against any sort of a politician or anybody, we would probably end up in prison. People have ended up in prison in Britain for much less than what these people are doing at the end of the day. Because by celebrating this death, you're actually inciting further violence, and, you know, really asking for more. And who else do you want to be taken out? Donald Trump. These people don't like, you know, Nigel Farage in this country. Anybody that doesn't disagree with them. So they'll be pretty happy to see me dead as well. Or anybody, you know, or you dead, as long as you don't agree with them. As long as you're not absolutely deluded, these people pretty much want you dead. And that's what they believe that love is. And that's what they believe that tolerance is. And that's what they believe is anti-fascism. And, you know, they believe that this ideology is the future. Do you know what I mean? Or them trying to make it that way. But again, I don't just blame the idiots, to be honest, because in a way I also blame the media, especially media like Netflix and the BBC. And, you know, they've been promoting this divisive trans and shit ideologies now for the longest time. And again, people have just tolerated it and not took no notice, and nobody's cancelling the Netflix because of it. I mean, I cancelled my Netflix years ago. I can't stand Netflix, to be honest. I mean, not just because of their political ideologies, but also because they just don't make anything that's really worth watching, in my opinion. I mean, I think people make far superior content on YouTube than what you'll ever see on Netflix. I mean, and even if they do try to make something like a documentary or a historical fucking, you know, movie or something, they get everything wrong, you know, and they enforce their political ideologies onto the TV programming as well. So these people have been brainwashed. These kids celebrating this death have been brainwashed by the mainstream media. They've been brainwashed by ridiculous politicians and the education system. And this is the fruits of what they've been taught. And this is the kind of characters that have been created through the education system and through our society. And to me, that's absolutely disturbing, because this generation, it must be the weakest and the most pathetic and confused generation that I've ever seen. They don't seem to have any common sense. You know, Charlie Kirk is not your enemy. At the end of the day, what's Charlie Kirk ever done to anybody other than upset people with words? Do you know what I mean? There's far worse people out there in the world than Charlie Kirk. You know, and I'm sure that the political establishment and the overlords are absolutely loving this, because it's divisive. And as long as we're fighting each other, then the real enemy of freedom is getting away.